We're in 6th grade. Welcome to Math. Tuesday, lesson 35. Hopefully you got the quiz done on the back side. We're ready for the front side. We're working with these conversions. Your yellow folder would be a good resource for you at the back of that folder where we start from the lesson notes that we have to the resources there. Pay attention. You're going to get this one a lot, and we're going to use this one a lot coming up. 1 foot equals 12 inches. 1 yard equals 36 inches. 1 yard equals 3 feet. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. A meter is 1,000 millimeters. A meter is 100 centimeters. And a kilometer is 1,000 meters. Number 9, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Memorize that. We had it in one lesson. I think it was lesson 32 when we did the metric system. And you just got to always remember that one. We're going to use that throughout the year. 1 pound is 16 ounces. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. A kilogram is 1,000 grams. And a ton is 1,000 kilograms. 15, the conversion between metric and US is 2.2. 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. A pint is 16 ounces. A pint is 2 cups. A quart is 2 pints. A gallon is 4 quarts. A liter is 1,000 milliliters. Now science class. A milliliter of water has the volume of 1 cubic centimeter and the mass of 1 gram. Therefore, 1 liter of water has the volume of 1,000 cubic centimeters, but has the mass of 1 kilogram. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius. Your normal body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius. The mental math would run like this. I subtracted, I got $5.51. I multiplied, I got $3.20. Found equivalent fractions, which is 27 or 27 over 30. I reduced down to 5/8. 4 squared is 16. The square root of 4 is 2. So 16 minus 2 is 14. Divide by the 12 gives you 2 times the 5 gives you 10. Estimate the sum. I would round 453 to 450. I'd round 57 to 60. I would add 450 plus 60 and get 510. If you rounded 453 to 500 and 57 to 60, you would get an answer of 560. Either one is acceptable. I rounded to the nearest 10 because the one number is only in the tens digit. Start with the number inches in 2 feet, which is 24. Add 1, 25 times 4 is 100. Square root that, 10. What do we call this many years? 10 years is a decade. Okay, then it says copy this problem and fill in the missing numbers. Awesome. So I got my wonderful problem here, guys, and here's what I did. I looked at the numbers, and when I think about filling in missing numbers in a division problem, I always think the opposite. What's multiplication? How quickly can I get there? So guys, the first thing I did is I noticed right here. That's a one-digit number. There's only one number I can multiply 8 by that gives me a one-digit number. That's the number 1. So that has to be a 1 up there. I moved down to the next level, guys. They did it again. It's another one-digit number. So this has to be a 1 again. Then they gave me a 4 here and sorry, that's really small, and an 8 there. So that means this has to be 48, guys. So what 8 times what gives me 48? That's a 6. Now I got all these blanks, guys, but I have my 2 numbers that I need. Missing the dividend in a division problem, I multiply. So I just move over here, do 116 times 8. That gives me 48. That's the 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carries the 1. 8, 1 is 9. This was 928. Now if I wanted to fill everything else in, guys, I could. That would be an 8. That would give a 12. This would be an 8. 12 minus 8 is 4. 48. Problem solved. Okay, so lots of times we see all these blanks and we panic, guys, but look for the helpful hints. In this case, it was the number 1 because it only had one digit there, and then the number 48 at the bottom. You got the problem solved. Awesome. Let's get ready to start working some problems. As we get moving through the new concept today, we're going to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimal numbers. We've been working with these things a little bit with decimals. Today we're going to get the overall lesson for it, and away we go. The book reads like this. Adding and subtracting decimal numbers is similar to adding and subtracting money, which you got way back in lesson 1. We line up the decimal points to ensure that we are adding and subtracting digits of the same place value. And now they give you number 1. So they gave you 3.6 Boom, I got my 3.6. The next one they gave me 0.36. Line up the decimal points. And the last one they didn't give me a decimal, so I add a decimal. If you want to fill in zeros, guys, feel free to fill in zeros. Now it's 6 and nothing is 6. 6 and 3 is 9. Decimal point straight down. 3 and 6 is 9. 3 and nothing is 3. I got an answer of 39.96. So the key with the adding is to make sure we line up the decimal points. True with subtracting as well. Number 2, it says find the perimeter of this rectangle. So I'm going to do it. They want you to do all addition, guys, but I'm going to do it with addition and subtraction. So I take 0.3 and 0.2, I add them together. It gives me 0.5. Now I double it. 0.5 times 2 gives me 1.0. I'd cross that out. Now we haven't read the little paragraph on multiplication, guys, so they expect you to do 0.3 plus 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.2 because opposite sides are the same. Okay, they got a couple subtraction problems now for us to work through in 3 and 4. So now I have 12 and 3/10 minus 4 and 567 thousandths. I have to add these two zeros so that I can borrow and subtract from them. Becomes a 2, becomes a 10, becomes a 9, becomes a 10. That's a 3. That's a 3. Can't do that. Cross out my 12, make an 11. 12 minus 5 is 7. Decimal point straight down. 11 minus 4 is 7. I get an answer of 7 and 733 thousandths. Last one, for subtraction, they gave me 5 and 4 and 32 hundredths. Guys, you got to add a decimal point, 2 zeros. Okay, cross out the 4, make it a 10, make it a 9, make it a 10, subtract is 8, subtract is 6, decimal point, and I have 4 minus 4 is 0. Always put that 0 in there for looks, guys. I'm sorry for its sloppiness. 4 and 68 hundredths. Make sure you're doing those examples on the back of your piece of paper at the bottom of that quiz, guys, so that you can see the work that you're doing with it. Let's learn how to multiply decimals. It says, if we multiply the fractions 3/10 and 3/7, the product is 21 hundredths. They show that to you. Likewise, if we multiply the decimal numbers of 3/10 and 7/10, the product is 21 hundredths. Here you'll use the area to illustrate it, so they then show you a little box of 3/10 and 7/10, and you could count those little boxes and get 21 hundredths of a little box. Each side of the square is 1 unit in length. We multiply 3/10 of one side and 7/10 of a perpendicular side. The product of the area would contain 21 hundredths of the square. Notice that the factors each have 1 decimal place. The product has 2 decimal places. When we multiply decimal numbers, the product has as many decimal places as there are in all factors combined. So guys, I like to say, just do multiplication like normal, then count up your decimal places, and then slide your decimals from right to left that many. So they're going to go back and they're going to give me an area problem. So they got 0.4 times 0.25. Now guys, when you multiply, it doesn't matter. I put the 4/10 on the top. Some students want to add zeros. In my mind, that's just more work. In my head, I'm going to do 4 times 25. I know that's 100. Okay? Now, 1, 2, 3. I count my total number of decimal places. So there's 1 there, there's 2 there, there's 3 there. I start at the right, I slide left. 1, 2, 3. That's where my decimal point goes. Add a 0 for looks. You can cross those off. Those aren't needed. My answer is 0.1 or 1/10 of a square meter. Okay, so multiplication like normal. Doesn't matter which number you put on top. There's no order. Example 6 says, a ruler that is 12 inches long is how many centimeters long? Well, I know that a ruler there's 2.54 inches in every centimeter, and I have, in every inch, and I have 12 of them. So it's just multiplication like normal. 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Add a 0. 1 times 4, 1 times 5, 1 times 2. Addition, 8, 4, 10, carry the 1, 30. 1, 2, 1, 2. Always right to left when you bring those things back in, guys. And so if you know your rulers well, you usually see 12 inches on there, and then you usually see 30 centimeters as the markings that go along with that. Turning your page in your book, it runs like this. Example 7, can we simplify the squaring? Now guys, the one caution I'll give you here is going too fast in your head. So I know I can do 0.3 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. That's awesome. Sometimes it might help you to write this out at the beginning until you get really good at that. Because 3 times 3 is 9, but now I got to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So just don't go too fast that you get your decimal points wrong. That is tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. 9 10,000ths is my answer. Let's learn how to divide. It says dividing a decimal number by a whole number is similar to dividing dollars by cents by a whole number. When we use long division, the decimal point in the quotient is lined up with the decimal point in the dividend. So we like to say move your decimal point straight up. Guys, this is when we're dividing by a whole number. Just move it straight up. The perimeter of a square is 7.2 meters. How long is each side? I know a square has 4 sides, so I take 7.2, I divide it by 4. Decimal point straight up. If you struggle with that, guys, do it before you do anything else. Like I just said, decimal ones go straight up. Now it's just normal division. 4 into 7. Ones. That's 4. 3. Bring down 2. 8. And I get an answer of 1.8. We're talking meters there, so it's 1.8 meters. Okay, when you start with a decimal, guys, you end with a decimal. So there will be times where I have to keep adding zeros to that and keep that division going. You just make sure you keep that division going. Number 8, it says divide this 0.0144 divided by 8. Okay, so I go 8 into 0, it goes in there 0 times, decimal straight up, 8 into this 0, 0 times, 8 into this 1, 0 times, 8 into 14, that's a 1, that gives me an 8, subtract. 6, bring down, 4, 8 goes into here, 8 times, and I got an answer of 18 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000, 18 10,000ths. Okay, last one is what I was talking about where we're going to have to keep the decimal thing going. So you got number 10, you got 1.2 divided by 5. Goes in there 0 times, decimal straight up. 5 goes into 12, 2 times, that's a 10. Subtract is a 2. I add a 0, I bring the 0 down. 5 goes into 20 4 times. So you keep this division going, guys. You can't write a remainder. You can't write a fraction. You don't have a decimal fraction together. So it started as a decimal. It ends as a decimal. Keep adding zeros until it comes out evenly. Okay, so you got an answer of 24 hundredths. Okay, that was a lot of examples we worked through as we added, subtracted, multiplied, and divide. Quick review of your lesson will run like this, guys. When I add and subtract, I line up the decimals. When I multiply like normal. Count the number of decimals in the factors, and then slide that right to left, that same amount. When I divide, my decimals straight up, and I divide until it comes out. We haven't learned repeating decimals yet, guys, so it's going to divide until it finishes. Usually you might have to add 1 or 2 zeros. They won't make you do too much. All right, see you for the examples. All right, 6th grade, here comes the problems for lesson 35. We start with number 3. It says 1 year subscription to a monthly magazine costs $15.60. The regular newsstand price is $1.75. How much is saved per issue by paying the subscription price? So I got a $15.60 for a yearly subscription. So I divide by 12 to figure out how much it costs for a month. So that goes in there once, gives me a 12, subtract is a 3, bring down the 6. Decimal straight up, 12 goes into 36, 3 times, that's 36, 0, bring down this 0, 12 goes in there 0 times. So because I bought it for a year, it only cost me $1.30. If I would buy it at the store, they said it cost me $1.75. That's what they call the newsstand price or the cover price. And so then I subtract those things, guys, and I get 45 cents. So I'm saving 45 cents every issue by buying it for the year. Number 4 says, in 1896 Summer Olympics, Alfred Hajos of Hungary swam 100 meters in 1 minute 22 seconds. So 100 years later, in 1996, Lin Jingyi of China swam the same distance about 27 seconds faster than Alfred. About how many seconds did it take him to swim? Okay, so I have 1 minute and 22 seconds, guys. So I know there's 60 seconds in a minute. That means it took Alfred 82 seconds. Lee did it 27 seconds faster, so I'm going to subtract my 27 seconds off that. That gives me a 7 and a 12, so that's 5 and 5. So Lee did it in about 55 seconds. Number 5, the perimeter of the square equals the perimeter of the regular pentagon. Each side of the pentagon is 16 centimeters. How long is each side of the square? So I have a pentagon that's 5 sides, and each one they said is 16 centimeters. So I got 16 times 5, guys. That's 80. Now this square is also 80. So after I have my perimeter, now I divide that by 4 and I would get a 20. So each one of these is 20. So we've been doing these problems, guys, where they usually have them stacked together. Now they took it to the next level for us. So you got 20 centimeters as your answer. Notice, sides multiply together, divide by the number of sides of the other shape. Number 7, a 6 by 6 square is cut from a 10 by 10 square sheet of paper as shown below. Refer to the figured answer A, B, and C. What is the area of the original square? Well, guys, 10 times 10 is 100 centimeters squared. What is the area of the square that was cut out? Well, that was 6 by 6. 6 times 6 is 36 centimeters squared. So they chopped out this little 6 by 6 here, okay? And then they said, what is the area of the remaining figure? I just chop and subtract. This was chopped out, so I get a 4 and a 6. That would be 64 centimeters squared. They're getting you ready for lesson 37, where we have what we call complex area. And one way to solve it is think of the whole and think of what's missing and solve it by subtracting. Number 9. The coordinates of the 3 vertices of a rectangle are -3, 2, 3, -2, and -3, -2. What are the coordinates of the 4th vertice? And then find the area. Okay, I'm going to draw this one for you as a review. So you have -3 backwards up 2. You have +3 and -2. And you have -3 and -2. Okay, so I need another one over here, don't I, which would be at +3, +2. So that would be your answer to A. B says, what's the area of this rectangle? Well, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 by 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 6 by 4, and 6 times 4 is 24 square units. Okay, that should be a U. Square units. So guys, that one was just, I drew it and I counted. Remember, we can also look for missing numbers. They each need 2 of the same numbers for your X and your Y values, and then you subtract those if you like to do the math behind it. Number 10, use words to write. So the first number I write is 100. That's before the decimal point. The decimal point gets the word and. Then I write the number after the decimal point. That's the number 75. Then I find position. 0's in the tenths, 7's in the hundredths, 5's in the thousands. So I have 175 thousands. 10B says use digits to write the decimal number 25 hundred thousandths. So guys, I got 25. This is tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths. Decimal point 0. You could also use your chart and say how many numbers does it take to get to the 100 thousandths. It takes 5 after the decimal point. I have 2 with the number 25. I have to add 3 zeros. Number 13. What decimal number names a point marked with an arrow on this number line? So guys, you see the number line there, and they have 3.4, and they have 3.3, and then they have 3.4, and then they have your arrow here. You start counting these tick marks. So 3.31, 3.32, 3.33, 3.44, 5, 6, 7. So it got to the 7. So it's 3.37. Number 15. Find the perimeter of this rectangle. So guys, this is today's lesson. I'm going to go 0.4, and I'm going to add 0.2 to it. That gives me 0.6. I'm going to take that number times 2 and get 12. How many decimal places? 1. Move in 1. I got 1.2 meters. They asked me to find the area. This time I'm multiplying. So I have 0.4 times 0.2. That's 8 in my head, but there's 1, 2 decimal places. So 1, 2 decimal places. So I have to add a 0. This one would be meters squared because we're talking area. So don't forget that 0, guys. That's key to the lesson today. Turning my answer key over, I'm up to lesson number 18. 18, I have 8y equals 46.4. So now they're taking these problems that we've been doing and adding decimals to it. So it's just missing in multiplication. I divide, guys, 46.4. So that goes in there 5 times is a 40. Subtract is a 6. Decimal straight up. Bring the 4 down. Goes in there 8 times. I have an answer of 5.8. Number 19, missing the first in subtraction, I add. There's no decimal point, so I just put one there for looks to line up with the 3.4. 4 or nothing, decimal point straight down. 2 and 3 is 5. 1 straight down, 15 and 4/10. Number 20, a much bigger addition problem from the lesson we just had. 3 and 65/100 plus 9/10 plus 8, and I'm going to add a decimal point and a 0 for looks. And the last one is 15 and 23/100. You want to fill in zeros? Feel free to fill in zeros. 5 and 3 is 8. 15, 16, 17. 4, 12, 17, 1, 2, decimal point straight down. And I have an answer of 27 and 78/100. 22. We got multiplication. I need to make them improper. Multiply denominator times whole number and then add the numerator. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3/2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, 8/3. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15/4. Okay, 3 gone, 3 gone. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, did you see how I did that? I took the 2 on the bottom and got there. You can do 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times, 4 goes into 4 once, and you cross those things out. Or you can just say, if you're multiplying on the bottom, guys, those equals 8, and they just all cancel out. Okay, I'm left with nothing on the bottom and a 15 on the top, so my answer is 15. Number 23. I have addition first of 1/2 and 1/3. I must have common denominators. Times by 3/3, times by 2/2. That gives me 3/6. This gives me 2/6. I add those together, I get 5/6. Go back to the first part, which is 1 and 1/6. Guys, I'm going to make that improper. I normally don't, but because I already have 5/6 here, I just multiply and add and get 7/6 minus 5/6 gives me 2/6. 2/6 equals 1/3. So normally I would leave this as 1 and 1/6, guys, but you cross out the 1, you add the 6 to it, it turns into the 7/6. So I just made it improper because that's what you're going to do when you do a mixed number. Number 26, multiplication. You can do this in your head, guys. Just be careful that you're counting decimal places. So I have all these decimal numbers. So I'm going to go backwards because I think the multiplication is easier. 5 times 4 is 20, times 3 is 60. Now I count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, decimal point there. Written correctly, I chop that 0 off. My answer is 6/100. And 28. 28 says 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Make a function table to show the number of centimeters in 1, 2, 3, 4 inches, and then write the rule. Okay, so got my function table of 1, 2, 3, and 4. I know 1 is 2.54. Okay, I'm just going to keep adding those, guys. So I got an 8, a 10, carry the 1, decimal point, that's 5. So I got 5.08. Now I'm going to add another 2.54 to my answer. That's a 12, carry the 1, a 6, and 2 and 5 is a 7. So I got 7.62. And I have another 2.54, 6, 11, 8, 9, 10. I have a 10.16. Said correctly, 2 and 54/100, 5 and 800, 7 and 62/100, 10 and 16/100. That's A, my function table. B says, what is the rule of this function? It's times 2.54. Every inch is 2.54 centimeters. So I could have multiplied each one of those guys. 1 times 2.54, 2 times 2.54, 3 times 2.54, 4 times 2.54.